what a weekend of college basketball we have. Let's start Saturday. Houston, Arizona, number 4 ranked Arizona, traveling to Houston. Houston are 3.5-point favorites. 2 projected number 1 overall seeds in the country. Number 2 ranked Houston, 2 of the best backcourts in the country. Jared Bradley, Bryson Burries, Emmanuel Sharp, Kingston Flemings, Milos Uzan. No Koa Pete is a real difference maker in this game for Arizona, man. I really think he offers so much as a third scoring option. He gives you so much defensively on the glass, and he'd be matched up with Sanak and Tugler a lot. And I think that's a matchup Arizona would attack a lot. I think Koa Pete's a better player than both of those guys. No disrespect to those guys. They're really good players in their own right. But I just think Houston's backcourt is better. I think they shoot the ball more consistently. They score more consistently. And if Emmanuel Sharp gets hot from 3, this Houston team is basically unstoppable. I think Houston's a better defensive team. Arizona's a better rebounding team. They have more size down low with Krivas, but we saw it with Iowa State versus Kansas. Good defensive teams are just amplified at home because of how much they can just suffocate you. And Houston has the guard play to lock down Burries and Jaden Bradley. We saw one example of this, and it's not – Tamus Folks of UCF is obviously not the player that Burries or Bradley is, right? But he's still a really good guard in the Big 12. Kingston Fleming, who you could argue is the worst defender out of Sharp and Uzan, was locking that dude up, had that guy in hell in Orlando on UCF's home floor. Kingston Flemings is very underrated for what he can do on the defensive side of the ball, and he's an incredible scorer of the basketball as well. Anybody can see this. Quick first step, pull-up midi. Inconsistent shooting the 3, found it as of late a little bit against Iowa State. Kingston Flemings is probably the best freshman guard in the country. Darius Acup's really good too, but either way, Kingston Fleming in this backcourt is better defensively than Bradley and Burries is, and I think that's going to be the real difference in these Koa Pete-less games for Arizona. You're going to need great performances from your backcourt, and I don't think they have that against the Houston team on the road. So I like Houston to cover the 3.5 in this game as well. Sanak's going to have to play a really good game for Houston, not only defensively, but on the glass, because Arizona is one of the best rebounding teams in the country, and they do have the size with Krivas at 7'2". Sanak is only 6'11", and Tugler's like 6'8". So they're going to have the size advantage, Arizona, but no Koa Pete really does impact this Arizona basketball team from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint, especially against a team that has really good defensive guards like Houston and a team that is really, really good at home the way Houston is. And that suffocating defense can really just not fluster. I don't think it's going to fluster Burries a little bit, but it's definitely going to make him a little bit more inefficient. So tough spot here for an Arizona team that I don't want to say they've dropped a few games, but they dropped games to Iowa State. They dropped a game to Texas Tech, like those with JT Toppin. That's what it's the Big 12. It's a fucking gauntlet. It's the best conference in basketball. They're going to drop those games against teams that would be all top 3 seeds, right? So I think Arizona is going to be just fine. Not in this game. Houston is my national championship pick at this very moment in time. National championship a year ago. Sharp and Uzan have done it. Kelvin Sampson's so overdue. They have the guard play. They have the defensive prowess. And they've been there before. And that's the main thing. Somebody asked in my chat the other day, I said I have Houston over Michigan. They're like, why Houston? What does Houston do that Michigan can't? And the real answer is nothing. Like, Michigan can do everything Houston can, but Michigan's backcourt has way more experience in March than Cadeau does, than Yaxel does. So for that reason, I would lean Houston over Michigan. I think they're the 2 best teams in the country. Houston takes care of Arizona tonight, and they are ranked 1 and 2 for that reason. So, but I think Houston just has more experience. Kelvin Sampson has more experience than Dusty May, even though Dusty May is a tremendous coach and he made the Final Four with FAU. It's just Kelvin Sampson's built an incredible program there in Houston. He's going to get one eventually, and I feel like this year might be his year. I just really love this Houston team. I've loved them for. I've just like say they're a fun team, man. They're a fun team. They dealt with some injuries the Marcus Sasser year that they could have went on a run. As long as they stay healthy, I think they're going to be a real problem. So I'm all over Houston in this game. Houston, why did I have 3.5? They're 5.5 point favorites. I have Houston 5.5. I think the under in the first half at 69.5, big game, young guard, they're going to come out. Like, I feel like in these big games, they always start out a little slow, and I also think Arizona is not going to have an answer for this Houston defense. So under 69.5 in the first half, and then Houston first half -3.5 as well. Michigan, Duke. This game is going to be electric. Michigan's only 2.5-point favorites. I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Michigan. Michigan is just better than Duke at literally everything. I trust their guard play more. They shoot the three better. They're more efficient offensively. They're more efficient shooting the three. They're more efficient inside the arc offensively. They're better defensively against the three. They're better defensively inside the arc. They're a better rebounding basketball team. They have more impressive wins. But I will say, they have a worse loss. Wisconsin's a worse loss than Texas Tech or UNC, the losses that Duke has. And Duke also has, you could argue Duke has the best win against Florida. Forgot for a second. I had to look at the notes. But Duke has a very good basketball team. Cam Boozer's the best player in this game. Best player in the country, probably. But Yaxel's supporting cast is just so much better. And I do want to give some credit to Duke. They handled all the good teams in the ACC pretty comfortably. SMU, Louisville, Clemson. SMU and Louisville are two really good teams. They handled them. Lost to UNC, but UNC had like 4 threes in the last 2 minutes of that game or whatever it was. I think it's 3 threes in the last 2 minutes to come back in that game. They also beat Michigan State and Lansing. So did Michigan. And Michigan State's a different team at home than they are anywhere else. Duke will also have the best player in this game, like I said. And he's leading the number 3 team in the country, Cam Boozer, in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, shooting 58% from 3, over 40% from 3. But I trust Cadeau with the ball in his hands way more than Stewart. And these top-tier matchups, these huge matchups, often come down to the guard play. The guard play in Michigan is just so much better. And I think Dusty May is a better coach than John Shire. John Shire inherited a fantastic program that's just going to be a pipeline for elite talent every year. He couldn't get it done with Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel. Choked, and they couldn't close out that game against Houston with 1A and 1B in terms of NBA Rookie of the Year voting this year. He couldn't get it done with those guys. Dusty May took an FAU team to the Final Four. Dusty May's team has come out in every big game this season, and they have dominated. They dominated Purdue. They dominated Gonzaga. They blew Gonzaga out of the water. They dominated USC. They dominated. They didn't dominate. They didn't dominate Nebraska, but they handled Nebraska. They dominated Michigan State. Like, Michigan has been ready to play in every single big game that's been in front of them this season. You can't say the same about Duke. They haven't had as many big games, but neutral site, big game, Texas Tech, MSG, they lost. Couldn't close it out against UNC and Chapel Hill either. Duke's a really good basketball team, but I trust Dusty May more than I trust John Shire. Might be a hot take. I don't care. Dusty May built programs. John Shire inherited them. There's a difference there. And I saw some Barstool guys talking about that. Like, is John Shire a top 5 college basketball coach? Fuck no. What has he done to be a top? He's won a lot of games with the program coach he inherited from Coach K. I'm taking Dusty May, Kelvin Sampson, Nate Oates. He built the program. Nate Oates built the program. I'm taking Dan Hurley. Bill Self. Yeah, he's not even close to a top 5 coach in the country. That's an outrageous take. He has not done a thing in March yet, and he had the 2 favorites for Rookie of the Year in the NBA. I don't understand. I'm not buying any of this John Shire bullfuck. He does have a ridiculous winning percentage, but he inherited a program that's just a pipeline for number 1 overall picks. So yeah, I'd hope so. I think Michigan takes care of them. I love Michigan. I think I'm seeing this board really clearly. Just to recap, last week, awful, 3-5. The 2 weekends before that, 3-2 and 2-1. That brings us to 8-8 in total in the 3 preview episodes that I've done. I really like the board this week. I really do. I think Houston dominates. I think Michigan dominates. And that brings us to Iowa State at BYU, and I think Iowa State just dominates BYU. If you've been listening to my college basketball previews and recaps, I was never high on BYU, even when they had Richie Saunders. They don't have Richie Saunders now, and it's really just the AJ DeBansa show. And Rob Wright, I think his name. Is it Rob Wright? I should probably know that. Hold on, I'm pretty sure it's Rob Wright. I don't want to fuck this guy's name. It's Robert Wright III. I'm pretty sure that's his name. It is Robert Wright III. So it's just the AJ DeBansa show in BYU. Iowa State has a guy that can lock down Robert Wright, and that's the only way BYU beats you is if some of these other guys get going. But outside of Rob Wright, who's getting going? Nobody. Like, DeBansa's going to get his. He's going to get 30. He's going to get 35. He's going to have a good day scoring because he's just that good of a scorer. But Taman Lipsey is just a guy that's built for March. And shout out TC Sports Central, my guy on TikTok. He said this to me. He's like, yo, I think Iowa State's really good, as they were actively losing to TCU. And then they come out and get 2 really big wins over the weekend where they beat, I don't even remember who they beat, but it's all mush in my brain. They blew out Kansas and then beat Houston. TC Sports Central on TikTok, give that guy a shout. He called it he called it right up there. He's like, yeah, I think Iowa State's not going to talk about enough, primarily because this Taman Lipsey dude is just an absolute weapon all over the floor. Hustle plays, defense, good ball handler. He's a real problem. Iowa State is a good offense, and defensively, BYU has not been great. Texas Tech scored 84. Zona scored 86. Kansas scored 90. They had 53 in the first half. Houston scored 77. Arizona scored 75 the second time. UConn scored 86. So good teams have not had any problems scoring the basketball against this BYU team, and that was with Richie Saunders on the floor. Iowa State is a really good offense. 12th in offensive rating, 40% from three. Milan Momcilovic is shooting 50% from three. They create a lot of second chance opportunities, and they close out defensive possessions more efficiently than BYU does. They have a guy in Taman Lipsey who's good for 3-4 extra possessions. They know lock down your best player, especially when your best player doesn't have any size, speed, height, reach advantages. The way Robert Wright, well, he's not BYU's best player, but he's going to be the primary matchup. He has no advantage over Taman Lipsey. I think Robert Wright's not going to score 10 points in this game. When Taman Lipsey's on him, he's going to have that guy in hell. And if nobody else can beat you for BYU, and like AJ Advance is going to get his, but if you don't let anybody else beat you, you are going to beat them. And BYU's lost at home to good teams. Like they lost to Houston at home, they lost to Arizona at home. I'm not moved because this game's in BYU whatsoever. I love Iowa State here. Give me Iowa State halftime, full time. Give me Iowa State -3.5. UConn Villanova. Villanova's a good team. Villanova hung around with UConn last time. They shoot a lot of threes, and they have a good squad. Villanova, they don't have any bad losses. They lost to BYU first game of the year. They lost to Creighton, St. John's, UConn, and Michigan. They don't have really any statement wins. Their best win is probably Wisconsin, but they beat the brakes. Not beat the brakes, but they've handled all of the other garbage Big East teams that they've played. And UConn has been very inconsistent defensively. And I think a lot of people are panicking on UConn a little bit too soon. When you look at the games that they've dropped, the reason they've dropped those games are problems that are easily fixable. Like don't turn the ball over 15 times against St. John's in the Garden. And St. John's is a really good defensive team. Don't allow a gazillion open threes against Creighton, and they shot 50% from three in that game? 48% from three in that game, Creighton did? Be better defensively, more aggressive defensively. And this is a UConn defense that held Kansas to 50. That held Illinois to 61. Illinois is the number one ranked offense in KenPom and Torvik. They're one of the best offenses in the country. This UConn defense was able to contain them. So the problems that UConn have been having over the past week of the season, we've seen UConn and these Danny Hurley teams that have gone on to win national championships have little skids like this, little 2-3 game losing streaks. It's not even a losing streak, but little skids in Big East play, and they always come out better for it. So I trust Dan Hurley. I think Villanova is going to be in for a rude awakening because this UConn team is going to come out to play a real physical brand of basketball. They have really good guard play. They have a closer in Solo Ball. They have a really good front court. Like UConn's still a really, really good basketball team, and I trust Danny Hurley to get these things figured out. It's not like they have a problem that's been plaguing them all year. It's just the games that they've dropped. It's been, I guess, inconsistent defense is the argument. But they held Illinois 60 fucking points. Like it's in there. And they're not a team that turns the ball over too much. They just turn it over a lot against St. John's. Like I think it's in there with UConn, and I'm not writing them off the way a lot of people are writing them off. And Villanova's a team I guess we should talk about a little bit. They have a guy in Duke Brennan that's just a double machine. They have 4 guys in double digits. They shoot a fuck ton of threes. They're going to be in March Madness. They're 20-5 or whatever. They're the third best team in the Big East, and they hung around with UConn the first time they played them in stores. This game in Villanova, I think UConn's going to come out and set a message. And even if UConn does drop this game, Villanova's a good team. Like this is a real good opportunity. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like there's a few teams with great opportunities to get some really, really good wins. Villanova that are going to be in March Madness. Villanova is one of them here with UConn. If they beat UConn here, that's their best win of the season, and that could make them like a 4 or 5 seed here if they're a 25-6 team. You know, like if they get 25 wins on the season, and one of their best wins was UConn, and their other really good win was Wisconsin, and I'm pretty sure they play St. John's again, so they'll have another opportunity to add to this resume. What an opportunity for Villanova to really say, hey, we're not just the best of the bad in the Big East. We deserve to play with these big dogs. They play St. John's one more time. So they have a real good opportunity here, Villanova, to really increase their stock and improve their resume. And they've been playing some really good ball. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight. They've won 7 out of their last 8. They're a good basketball team. They're a really good basketball team. They shoot a lot of threes. They share the rock well. I think Villanova is just in for a rude awakening here against a UConn team that's going to be really fired up with Danny Hurley and company. So, yeah, but Villanova's a team, man. If they hang around in this game and if they beat St. John's in St. John's, like they could really add some key wins to their resume here and boost their seeding in March Madness, and they could really catch the attention of the nation here. And what confidence it would be if they beat UConn here or hang around, even just hang around, keep it close. And if they hang around against St. John's, thinking, okay, we can hang around with these teams, we can beat these teams. These are some of the best teams in the country. That's some good momentum to have going into March. So we'll see what Villanova, Illinois, and UCLA. UCLA is another team that I think fits into that Villanova category where like they're probably going to make March Madness, but they don't really have any real key wins. UCLA did beat Purdue earlier this year. UCLA is a really interesting team because, again, they're a team that doesn't really have any bad losses. They've handled everyone in the Big Ten they should have, but they've also gotten handled by everyone in the Big Ten that's better than them outside of Purdue. Their only real statement win was that Purdue game. And yes, it's a good win, but I think Purdue just drops games at times. Either way, in order for anybody to really believe in this UCLA team, they go out and beat Illinois this weekend. And they're led by seniors. Like, they are a very, very experienced team, UCLA. Donovan Dent was a guard I liked a lot at New Mexico. And when you talk about March, you talk about the guard play. And Donovan Dent's one of the best ball handlers in the country, 7 assists, 2 turnover ratio. He just can't shoot the ball. He's like 20% from three. It's ridiculous. 17% from three. He can't shoot the ball. But UCLA has 5 guys averaging double digits, and 3 of their starters are shooting over 40% from three. A lot of that needs to be attributed to Donovan Dent's ability to give them open looks, and they surrounded Donovan Dent with shooters. The main scorer, I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, is their senior forward, Tyler Bildoway. I haven't watched any UCLA. They're always on Peacock. But senior forward, he's averaging 18 points per game, 50% from the field, 45% from three. Sky Clark, another senior guard, averaging 40% from three, 13 points per game. Like, their best 3 players are all experienced senior guards. And in a March Madness field that's going to be a lot of teams relying on production from a lot of freshmen, it could be really beneficial to have a lot of veteran experience, to have a really veteran ball handler in Donovan Dent. So I think UCLA has a real opportunity, the same way Villanova does, against they're hosting a top 5 team in the country. In my opinion, Illinois, I think, could win it all. One of the best offenses in the country. They have size. They got it all. They got size, 3-point shooting, ball handling, good average defense, 3-point shooting. They're a wagon offensively. They could hang around this game. That being said, Illinois is just too fucking good. They're really good. I think they hit 85 points in this game. So if their team total is under like 84.5 and under or lower, I'm taking it. And I think they cover 5.5 as well. They're just too good, man. Favorite offenses in the country. I'm reading off my notes now because I totally lost where I was. But they're one of my favorite offenses in the country. This game should be a lot of fun. Very efficient half-court offenses, 2 of them. 2 very good ball handlers, Donovan Dent, Keaton Wagler. Illinois is just too good on the boards. UCLA lets up a lot of. They're inconsistent closing out defensive possessions, and they let up a bunch of threes per Torvik. Illinois will just eviscerate a team that lets up a bunch of threes because they constantly get open looks, and they have a bunch of guys. They got Stojakovic, they got the 2 Croatian twins, they got Jake Clark with his ponytail that you can just drill threes. Like, they got guys. They got guys that can all shoot the 3. Illinois can be a real problem against teams that just let up a bunch of threes and don't close defensive possessions because Illinois creates a lot of offensive rebounds. So I think Illinois covers 5.5. I think Illinois hits 85 points in this game. So if the team total, which isn't out yet, I couldn't find a line for it. If it's 84.5 or lower, add that to the slate. But again, like, I think UConn's going to win. I think Illinois is going to win. But if UCLA hangs around, or if Villanova hangs around, or if one of them gets an upset, especially UCLA. If UCLA can upset Illinois, they're a team that I can convince myself to be really confident in going into March because of the experience in their backcourt, because of how they can shoot the 3, because they have an experienced senior veteran, good ball handler. UCLA is a team I could really, really see making a run if they get a win here, if they hang around with Illinois. They need a few more statement wins. How do they do on the road, too? They've not been good on the road this year. That's another thing. Also, I want to mention, if you made it this far, like the video, hit the subscribe button. If I'm telling you to take a favorite right now, and I noticed this the last few weeks, but I didn't want to say anything. Last week, it was ridiculous. Last week, I think I said take Duke at 11.5. They closed at 13.5. They lost by they won by 13, so it wouldn't have covered. Same thing with, I think it was it was Texas Tech last week. They were underdogs. They were like 6.5 point underdogs when I recorded this episode. They closed at like 9.5. They ended up winning, beating Arizona outright. But I've noticed a trend in college basketball that if you think a favorite's going to win, take that line early because the line will move by 3 or 4 points by the time tip-off comes around. Because when people bet on college basketball, a lot of people are betting on favorites. And if you like an underdog, wait until tip-off, and that line will usually be bigger. That's just something I've noticed. So I've given you guys a bunch of favorites. I would go in, if you're just going to tail me, and take these favorites instantly. Take Iowa State, take Illinois to cover, take Michigan to cover 3.5, take Houston to cover, take their first time, take their first half, take their team total, all that. Like if I'm telling you to take a favorite, I would take a favorite before Saturday at tip-off because you might get it at a 3-point discount. Literally, that's how much these lines are moving the last few weeks. Tennessee at Vanderbilt. I love Tennessee and Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie. I think they'll have the two best players in this game. But Vanderbilt's a more well-rounded squad for sure. They just lost to Missouri. Tennessee has won 8 of their last 10 in SEC play. Vanderbilt coming off that loss to Missouri. Their only loss at home this season, Vanderbilt, is Florida. But I think Tennessee is not on Florida's level, but I think they're slightly tier below Florida in the SEC with Kentucky and Arkansas. That's how I really do like this Tennessee team. Contrasting styles. Vanderbilt likes to play fast. Tennessee likes to slow it down in the half court, which teams that have guards that can operate a half court offense are very dangerous teams when we get into these big games down the stretch in late February, early March, and obviously in March Madness. They have a guy in that in Jacoby Gillespie. And Vanderbilt's defense was pretty impressive to me against Texas A&M at times in that game because Vanderbilt's offense they weren't getting anything going. I think Tyler Tanner was like 2 for 15 in that game or something stupid. But their defense was keeping Texas A&M at bay, and Texas A&M is a really, really prolific offense. And then yesterday, I'm recording this Friday, so Thursday night against Mizzou, they locked in defensively in the second half, and they cut the lead to 1. They were down by 20 in that game. But Mizzou and Texas A&M, they don't have a guy like Jacoby Gillespie, and they definitely don't have a guy like Nate Ament, who's averaging 20 in the month of February, 18 on the season, really coming into his own as a scorer over the last 2 months of the season since we've gotten into conference play. That guy can score whenever he wants. Like, he can get to a shot, he can get to a spot. It's just whether or not he's going to miss or make the shot, and most of the time he makes the shot. So I think because Tennessee has those guys that can, if they haven't had a field goal in 3-4 minutes, they can say, all right, Gillespie, go get us a bucket. And Nate Ament, go get us a bucket. And most of the time, someone will get you a bucket to end a run by Vanderbilt. And they're a very streaky team. They go on big runs. Tennessee has the guys that can respond, where this Mizzou team and this Texas A&M team, they didn't. They're 3.5 points right now. They're 3.5-point underdogs. I'm not touching this. I'm counting whatever Tennessee closes at, whatever the line it closes at, that's what I'm adding to my slip. Because I'm not taking it until tip-off. So it could go down. If it's at 1.5, I'm taking that 1 out. Whatever Tennessee's closing line is, I'm taking it. Because I think these are two really good teams, two tournament teams. This game could go either way. I'm going to take the team that's getting 3.5 points in a 50-50 matchup with the two best players. That's just my logic here. So whatever Tennessee's line closes at, that's what I'm adding to my slip in this game. Miami at Virginia. Virginia basketball's back, led by, I think, Darren Hall is his name, the guard, scrappy guard. Doesn't score a lot, but controls the offense. And then Thomas DeRitter, who's just a beast. But Miami's also made some noise. First-year head coach, Jai Lucas, I hope I'm not butchering that guy's name. I was really impressed with how he handled the game down the stretch against Virginia Tech earlier this week. And Trey Donaldson's just a baller as well. So I think Miami is another team, like Villanova and UCLA, that when we get into March, they have experienced senior guard play. They don't really have too many statement wins other than North Carolina, but Caleb Wilson broke his wrist in that game, even though he played the rest of the game like a fucking dog. I might like Miami in the tournament. Good opportunity here against a really, really good Virginia team, but I just think it's a bad matchup. I mean, Miami rebounds well. They're a good coach team. They rebound well. They don't turn the ball over. They don't foul. But they also don't shoot threes, and Virginia shoots a lot of threes. They make 35% of them. They also don't turn the ball over and rebound very well, especially on the offensive glass. If the spread's in the 9, 10.5 range, I would take Miami to cover that on the plus side, but I'm not adding it to the slip. Virginia's a really good basketball team. They're a really, really good basketball team. I like UVA a lot this year. We'll see if they have the offensive firepower against some of these like Big 12 SEC teams or top Big 10 teams. I don't know if they're there, but yeah, I like. This is an interesting game to watch because if Miami hangs around, if Miami can pull off an upset, again, one of these teams that's going to be in the tournament can add a huge win to their resume and boost my confidence in them. And Miami, Villanova, really Miami, UCLA more than Villanova are two teams that I could really convince myself to start believing in if they can pick up a big win down the stretch here over these last few weeks. And these are teams that I feel like not everybody's talking about. But yeah, anyway, hit that like, subscribe button. I got you guys with college basketball all March. Make sure you guys go follow the TikTok. I go live on TikTok all the time. It's fun stuff in the live. I'll talk to you guys later. Hit that subscribe button.